Good day. This is a walkthrough of some recent additions and some fixes for corrections. So what I'm going to do is focus on the My Health pages. And if you go to My Profile, and you will see their health analysis. Actually, I need to change that to, I'll go to bottom site. And go to health analysis. You will get a page loading which has a ton of information on it. Okay, let's take it through the top. This little icon, which I have traditionally used for showing the spread of a sample, I've added to this page. So for example, this particular one, if I click here, it will generate and it shows on the chart where I am relative to all the other samples out of 100, it's things being scaled to be out of 100, and we see we there. Now, we also have what's called scale data, which I do some mathematical transformation, which frequently shows patterns clearer. In this case, there's a pattern, and what we see here is a long, big, flat area where things are very similar to each other, in which case there's not a problem here. And then down here, we have the problematic low area. And then up here, where it starts curving upward, we have the high. So I'm not quite on the upward curving high area, but I'm close enough that I should pay a little bit of attention to it. So, as it says, I'm too high there, which is correct. And we can go in and take a look at this one, adolescence, and then we see here, and here we have things much more extreme. But if you scale here, you can see that I'm at the very bottom range of the curve. It's sort of on the flat, but it's not generally ideal. And I'm particularly happy because I just got in that as a probiotic organic with no fillers whatsoever. So that's there. So, excuse me, still recovering from COVID. And then we have all of the lovely measures below. Now, the number here generally means relatively little. Percentile usually is reasonably good, but not always. And what you really need to do is look at the chart. And if you go over to the chart, you see there, and even scaled there. So basically, you are in what I call the flat middle ground, where having high or low probably is not of particular significance. So that one, even though I'm a low percentile, seems absolutely fine. How about this one, a high ratio? Okay, here we have the super high ratio. If I go and scale it, I see that I'm at the top of the so-called flat area and heading into that. So it is potentially getting actionably high. If I take something else, let's take butyrate. There we have the curve, and if we do the scale data, I'm pretty much in the bottom of the flat area. Not ideal, but reasonable. If we go down to something like cortisol regulating, this is 92 percentile. This one I should show you because it's interesting. Here is where I am, and you can see that in general, there's very little of the bacteria detected. Very few of them are found. So this particularly, I would say, even though I'm a 92 percentile, I'm doing good, even though this number here is 0. That actually turns out to be a fine number. Estrogen regulating, what happens here when we go to the curve? We have a more normal curve, and everything is fine there. Now, remember, we have a limited number of bacteria which are being reported. I'm using the Kyoto Encyclopedia of Gene Genomics, which has a massive list of species which we know has the potential to produce. And so I'm comparing the two, and there's strictly very small amount of overlap. Same sample, if it was processed through Thrive, could give different results. Histamine ratio. And there we have with the raw scale, and there. So I'm relatively high. Ideally, you want to be down low, simply because histamine means allergy, hay fever, etc. Jason Harlick's ratio. And you see this is stepwise, mainly as a byproduct of his ratio is picking only a small number of bacteria, so the match there. So I'm doing pretty good. There's a very small number which are high, but in general, I'm in the top half of the population. Again, there just MIH, A ratio. Well, if you ever want to know what something is, just click the thing, and there it gives a description. In some cases, the links to the study. So basically, it is a post-antibiotic ratio, and the higher the ratio, usually the better somebody is. And as you can see, I'm basically nowhere near. I'm in the middle flat part where things seems to just have natural variation, so no problem there. Shannon indexes. Okay, let's take a look at something like D-lactic acid, which is connected with brain fog. And there I am, middle range. If we do a scale, definitely middle range. And upper ranges is where you probably definitely have problems with, potential problem with brain fog. Let's go down. Okay, so many of these are soluble things, 55th percentile, hydrogen peroxide, which is a good antibacterial. And there's where I am. And basically, I'm on the middle flat part, which is where usually you can deem yourself to be safe. Oxalates. So this is the amount of oxalate that's being produced. And oxalates are connected to kidney stones, oxalate degrading. I'm in the middle range, so I'm not, if I was in the bottom range, then the oxalate degrading could be a warning flag of the risk of kidney stones. And then we have histamine producers, which is similar as before, oxalate degrading, okay, and vitamin K2. This one I should point out, notice all the numbers are negative, and that simply means that either bacteria are busy consuming the K2, and K2 is coming in from a dietary source. So do you have excessive consumption of K2 is effectively what it is doing. Scale data, you see there, so you can make your own judgment call as whether or not. And where I am is absolutely fine. So we have all of these now connected to charts, and also again, as before, description of what each item is to help educate. Again, here we have more of Bacteridium unhealthy. And here we have one which is real sweet. I suspect the 100 is just off the scale here. That's 291. And sample value is there. So we have a bunch of bacteria identified, which you may want to take action on Dr. Harlick's recommendation, and that's basically it. So that is what I've done. I will mention a couple of things. Is the percentiles of some of these have changed, and that is because I inadvertently excluded zeros, and in some cases you have negatives showing up, which meant that you ended up having some funky numbers coming up. A reader asked for details on the distribution, and that allowed me to discover things. Generally, there's a lot of data in the system, and it's live, which means it's habitually being recalculated, and that means I'm usually working pretty hard to prevent the database from hitting 20 or 40 gigabytes and having good response time, and be constantly updating itself with the latest data. Okay, so that's basically it. So that is the health indicator walkthrough. Generally, if something is concerning you, step 1, read what the conditions are. Does any of these apply to you? If they do, you may want to do something about it. And go over and see where you are. Are you on the flat, or are you at where things start changing significantly? And that's basically it. Again, one other minor issue, which is if you are up here and if you just click it, it will take you over to the definition and give you all sorts of, including things associated from, for example, hay fever is the thing which has been associated with it, and then stuff which can modify. Okay, so that is the long and the short, just sort of a FYI on the health page. Numbers were changed because it caught a couple of bugs when did an audit, and a bunch of new features. Okay, that's it. Have a good day.